Most people think they know Africa, but Angola will shatter every assumption you've ever had about this continent. This is a country where a single meal in the capital can cost more than what some families earn in a month, yet it sits on oil reserves worth billions. Angola remains one of the most mysterious and misunderstood nations on Earth, wrapped in layers of complexity that most outsiders never get to see. Hear us what nobody tells you about Angola. It is simultaneously one of Africa's wealthiest nations and one of its most challenging places. To survive, the paradox hits you the moment you step off the plane in Luanda. Luxury SUVs cruise past families carrying water in plastic containers. Glass towers reflect shantytown rooftops. Portuguese colonialism meets African tradition in ways that create an entirely unique social fabric. Today, we're breaking down what it really takes to live in Angola on just $700 a month. And more importantly, we're exposing the unwritten rules that govern daily life here. These aren't the rules you'll find in any guidebook. These are the social codes, cultural boundaries, and survival strategies that separate those who thrive from those who struggle. Some of these rules might shock you, others will make perfect sense. But all of them are absolutely essential if you want to understand what life is really like in this fascinating country. Angola challenges everything you think you know about African living costs, social dynamics, and what it means to build a life in a post-conflict society. The stories you're about to hear come from real experiences, real people, and real challenges that shape every single day in this remarkable nation. Angola stretches across Africa's southwestern coastline like a giant question mark. And that shape feels appropriate because this country raises more questions than it answers. Bordered by the Democratic Republic of Congo to the north, Zambia to the east, and Namibia to the south, Angola controls over 1,600 kilometers of Atlantic coastline. This geography has shaped everything about Angolan life. From the fishing communities along the coast to the diamond mines in the interior. The Portuguese arrived here in the late 1400s, and their influence runs so deep that Angola didn't gain independence until 1975. That's over 400 years of colonial rule, longer than most American families have been in the United States. But independence didn't bring peace. Instead, Angola plunged into a civil war that lasted 27 years. Finally ending in 2002. Think about that timeline for a moment. An entire generation grew up knowing nothing but conflict. This history explains why Angola feels different from its neighbors. While countries like South Africa or Kenya developed tourism industries and international connections, Angola turned inward. The war created a society that learned to be self-reliant, suspicious of outsiders, and incredibly resourceful. When peace finally came, oil revenues started flowing, but the social patterns established during decades of conflict remained. The oil changed everything and nothing at the same time. Angola became Africa's second largest oil producer, generating billions in revenue. But this wealth concentrated in Luanda, creating one of the world's most expensive cities while leaving rural areas largely unchanged. The result is a country with extreme wealth inequality that makes other African nations look balanced by comparison. Understanding this background is crucial because it explains the contradictions you'll encounter every day in Angola. Why does a simple lunch cost $30 in Luanda, but $3 in provincial towns? Why do people speak Portuguese instead of local languages in business settings? Why does everyone seem to know someone who knows someone important? The answers all trace back to this complex history of colonialism, war, and oil wealth. The Portuguese influence also created unique cultural dynamics, unlike other African countries, where colonial languages compete with strong local language traditions. Portuguese became deeply embedded in Angolan identity. This isn't just about communication, it's about social class, education access, and economic opportunities. If you don't speak Portuguese fluently, you're automatically excluded from large portions of Angolan society. Walking through Luanda on any given morning reveals the beautiful chaos of Angolan daily life. The city wakes up before dawn, not by choice but by necessity. Traffic starts building at 5 a.m. because everyone knows that by 7 a.m., the roads become parking lots. This isn't typical African traffic. This is oil money traffic, where brand new Toyota Prados sit bumper to bumper with decades-old shared taxis called Gandungweros. The social dynamics here operate on unwritten rules that foreigners rarely grasp. Respect flows upward through age, family connections, and economic status. But it's not rigid like some traditional hierarchies. A young person with oil industry connections might command more respect than an older person without such ties. However, disrespecting elders, even subtly, can destroy relationships and opportunities instantly. Family structures in Angola extend far beyond nuclear families. When someone says my brother, they might mean their actual brother, their cousin, their best friend from childhood, or someone their family took in during the war years. These extended networks form the foundation of Angolan social life. Understanding who belongs to which network and how these networks connect determines your access to everything from jobs to housing to social invitations. Music provides the soundtrack to Angolan life in ways that outsiders struggle to comprehend. This isn't background music, it's communication, celebration, and cultural identity rolled into one. Kizomba didn't just originate here. It evolved as a way for Angolans to express emotions that Portuguese colonialism tried to suppress. When you hear kizomba playing in a restaurant, at a bus stop, or from someone's phone, you're witnessing cultural resistance disguised as entertainment. The work culture mixes African flexibility with Portuguese formality in fascinating ways. Business meetings might start an hour late, but when they begin, everyone switches to formal Portuguese and structured presentations. This code switching happens constantly. People adapt their behavior, language, and even their posture depending on the social context. Mastering these transitions is essential for success in Angola. Religious life also operates on multiple levels. Sunday morning Catholic Mass is a social event as much as a spiritual one. People dress in their finest clothes, catch up on community news, and conduct informal business. But traditional beliefs haven't disappeared. They've integrated with Christianity in ways that create uniquely Angolan spiritual practices. Respecting both traditions simultaneously isn't just polite. It's necessary for social acceptance. Community support systems in Angola function with incredible efficiency, partly because they had to during the war years. When someone faces a crisis, help materializes through these extended networks. But this support comes with obligations. If someone helps you today, you're expected to help them tomorrow, next month, or next year. These aren't casual favors, they're social contracts that bind communities together. The food scene in Angola tells the story of cultural fusion through every meal. Funge, the thick cassava porridge that accompanies most traditional dishes, represents pure Angolan identity. Making good funge requires technique passed down through generations, and the quality of someone's funge reflects on their cultural knowledge and family upbringing. When Angolans invite you to share funge, they're offering more than food. They're sharing their heritage. Muamba de galinha, the rich chicken stew made with palm oil and vegetables, showcases how Portuguese ingredients merge with African cooking techniques. The dish requires patience, skill, and expensive ingredients, making it a symbol of hospitality and prosperity. Families save muamba de galinha for special occasions, and being invited to share this meal indicates significant social acceptance. Fresh seafood dominates the coastal diet, but preparation methods vary dramatically between regions. In Bengala, grilled fish comes with simple seasonings that highlight natural flavors. In Luanda, the same fish gets Portuguese-influenced sauces and accompaniments. These regional variations reflect local histories and economic conditions, but they also indicate social identity. The way someone prepares fish tells you about their background, their travels, and their aspiration. Street food provides the most honest insight into Angolan eating culture. Vendors selling grilled meat, fried plantains, and fresh fruit operate according to unspoken quality standards. Regular customers know which vendors use fresh ingredients and which ones cut corners. Building relationships with street food vendors isn't just about getting good food. It's about integration into neighborhood social networks. Coffee culture in Angola rivals any European country. thanks to Portuguese influence and perfect growing conditions in the highlands. But coffee here isn't just about caffeine, it's about social interaction. Business deals happen over extended coffee sessions. Friends resolve conflicts during long conversations at coffee stands. Even buying coffee involves social protocols about greeting the vendor, acknowledging other customers, and showing proper patience. Local drinks reveal hidden aspects of Angolan social life. Cuca beer, brewed locally since colonial times, represents Angolan pride and independence. Sharing cuca isn't just drinking, it's participating in national identity. Palm wine, on the other hand, connects people to traditional culture and rural roots. The context for drinking each beverage matters enormously, and choosing wrong can send unintended social signals. Price variations in food reflect Angola's complex economy. A meal at a high-end Luanda restaurant might cost $50, while the same ingredients prepared at home cost $5. This isn't just markup. It is a reflection of Angola's dual economy where oil wealth and traditional economics exist side by side. Understanding these price structures is essential for surviving on a $700 budget. Shopping for food requires strategy, patience, and cultural knowledge. Local markets operate on negotiation principles, but the negotiation has rules. Offering too little shows disrespect. Accepting the first price shows inexperience. Successful market shopping requires understanding seasonal availability, quality indicators, and vendor relationships. Regular customers get better prices and first access to premium products. Angolan women possess a sense of style that combines African aesthetics with Portuguese sophistication in ways that create something entirely unique. Walking through Luanda's business district reveals fashion choices that would fit perfectly in Lisbon or Lagos, often within the same outfit. This isn't accidental. It's cultural expression through clothing that communicates identity, status, and personal history. The beauty standards here emphasize natural features enhanced rather than transformed. Angolan women take pride in their natural hair textures, skin tones, and body shapes while incorporating international beauty trends selectively. This creates an aesthetic that's distinctly Angolan, neither purely African nor European, but confidently its own thing. Dating in Angola operates according to complex social rules that foreigners consistently misunderstand. Family approval isn't just preferred, it's mandatory for serious relationships. This doesn't mean formal meetings and permissions. It means integration into family networks and social circles. That can take months or years to navigate successfully. Rushing this process guarantees failure and potential social embarrassment. The economic dynamics of dating reflect Angola's wealth disparities in uncomfortable ways. In Luanda, dating expectations include expensive restaurants, nice cars, and luxury experiences that can cost more than many people's monthly salaries. But these aren't materialistic displays, they're demonstrations of stability and serious intentions. A man who can't afford to treat his girlfriend properly is seen as someone who can't provide for a family. Social life in Luanda revolves around nightlife that starts late and ends early. Clubs don't get busy until midnight, but they close by 4 a.m. because everyone needs to work the next day. This compressed social schedule creates intense interactions, where people form strong connections quickly. The party culture isn't casual. It's strategic networking disguised as entertainment. However, nightlife etiquette includes unwritten rules that can make or break social acceptance. Dancing with someone's girlfriend without permission creates serious conflicts. Buying drinks for strangers without understanding their social connections can lead to misunderstandings. Even choosing which club to attend sends signals about your social status and intentions. The gender dynamics in Angolan society balance traditional expectations with modern realities in ways that create unique social tensions. Women increasingly work in professional roles and earn independent incomes, but family responsibilities remain heavily gendered. Successful navigation requires understanding these dual expectations and respecting both traditional and modern values simultaneously. Marriage customs blend traditional African practices with Portuguese Catholic traditions, creating ceremonies that can last for days and involve hundreds of participants. The financial expectations for weddings reflect Angola's oil economy, where a proper wedding might cost more than most people earn in several years. These aren't excessive displays. They're investments in family honor and social standing that affect multiple generations. The social consequences of relationship mistakes in Angola extend far beyond the individuals involved. Families, friend groups, and professional networks all get affected by personal relationship choices. This interconnectedness creates pressure to make good decisions, but it also provides support systems when relationships work well. Understanding the female perspective in Angola requires recognizing the strength and independence that developed during decades of conflict, combined with traditional cultural values that emphasize family and community. Angolan women aren't looking for foreign rescue. They're looking for partnership that respects their capabilities and ambitions while honoring their cultural identity. Angola's music scene pulses with energy that reflects the country's complex cultural identity. Kizomba originated here in the 1980s as a fusion of traditional Angolan rhythms with Caribbean influences, creating a sound that's now popular worldwide. But in Angola, Kizomba isn't just music, it's cultural expression that tells stories about love, struggle, and hope that sustained people through decades of war. Semba, Kizomba's predecessor, remains the heartbeat of traditional celebrations. Wedding parties, family gatherings, and community festivals all center around Semba rhythms that get people dancing regardless of age or social status. The dance movements tell stories, express emotions, and create social connections that transcend language barriers. Kuduro represents Angola's younger generation and their relationship with modern technology and global culture. This electronic dance music emerged in Luanda's neighborhoods during the 1990s, combining African rhythms with electronic beats and Portuguese lyrics. Kuduro isn't just party music, it's social commentary about urban life, economic struggles, and youth aspiration. Festival celebrations in Angola reflect the country's ability to find joy despite challenging circumstances. Carnaval de Luanda transforms the city every February with elaborate costumes, street parades, and music competitions that showcase regional diversity. But this isn't tourist entertainment. It's community celebration where neighborhoods compete for recognition and pride. Traditional ceremonies in rural areas maintain cultural practices that predate Portuguese colonization by centuries. Initiation rites, harvest celebrations, and ancestral honoring ceremonies continue in forms adapted to modern realities, but maintaining essential spiritual and social functions. These events aren't museum pieces, they're living traditions that shape contemporary Angolan identity. Religious festivals blend Catholic traditions with African spiritual practices in ways that create uniquely Angolan expressions of faith. Christmas celebrations might include midnight mass, followed by traditional dancing and local music that would surprise Portuguese Catholics. Easter ceremonies incorporate symbols and rituals that reflect African spiritual concepts alongside Christian beliefs. Music education happens informally through family and community networks. Rather than formal institutions, children learn rhythms, dance movements, and song lyrics through participation, rather than instruction. This organic learning process creates musicians who understand cultural context as deeply as musical technique. The economics of music in Angola reflect broader patterns of wealth concentration and cultural value. Successful musicians can achieve significant wealth and social status, but most musicians struggle financially while maintaining their artistic integrity. The music industry operates on personal relationships and community support rather than corporate structures. International recognition of Angolan music creates pride and economic opportunities, but it also raises concerns about cultural appropriation and authenticity. When Kizomba becomes popular in Europe or America, Angolans feel proud of their cultural influence while worrying about losing control over their artistic heritage. Community music events happen spontaneously and frequently, turning ordinary gatherings into impromptu concerts. Someone brings a guitar to a family dinner, neighbors join in with percussion, and suddenly an entire neighborhood is dancing in the street. These moments capture the spirit of Angolan social life better than any formal performance. Living on $700 monthly in Angola requires strategies that most foreigners never consider, and skills that locals develop through necessity. The key isn't just spending less. It is spending differently by understanding how Angola's dual economy creates opportunities for those who know where to look. Housing represents the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity. Luanda rent prices rival New York or London, with basic apartments costing $1,500, $3,000 monthly. But alternative housing options exist for those willing to compromise on location and luxury. Sharing apartments with Angolan families provides affordable housing while offering cultural integration opportunities that money can't buy. Suburban areas like Vienna or Cacoaco offer significantly lower rent prices, but transportation costs and time commitments offset some savings. A $300 monthly apartment might require $100 in transportation costs and 2 hours daily commuting. However, these neighborhoods provide authentic Angolan living experiences unavailable in expat-heavy central areas. Food costs vary dramatically based on shopping strategies and dietary flexibility. Shopping at local markets, buying seasonal produce, and learning to prepare traditional Angolan meals can reduce food expenses to $150 to $200 monthly. But this requires language skills, cultural knowledge, and willingness to adapt eating habits to local availability and preferences. Transportation in Angola operates on multiple levels with different cost structures. Candanguero's shared taxis cost pennies per ride but require understanding routes, timing, and social protocols. Private taxis cost 10 to 20 times more but offer convenience and predictability. Owning a car provides freedom but involves purchase prices, fuel costs, and maintenance expenses that can consume entire budgets. Utilities and communication costs reflect Angola's infrastructure challenges and oil economy simultaneously. Electricity costs remain relatively low due to hydroelectric power, but frequent outages require backup solutions like generators or solar panels. Internet access costs more than most African countries, but provides essential connectivity for work and social life. Healthcare expenses create budget wildcards that require careful planning. Public healthcare exists, but quality varies significantly. Private healthcare offers better service, but at costs that can destroy monthly budgets instantly. Health insurance isn't widely available, making preventive care and emergency planning essential budget considerations. Entertainment and social costs in Angola can range from nearly free to extremely expensive, depending on choices and social circles. Local bars, community events, and beach activities provide affordable entertainment options, but maintaining social connections often requires participating in expensive activities like restaurant meals and nightclub visits. That can cost $50 to $100 per evening. Clothing and personal care costs reflect Angola's import-dependent economy. Basic clothing items cost significantly more than neighboring countries due to import taxes and transportation costs. However, local tailors provide custom clothing at reasonable prices for those who understand quality indicators and negotiation practices. Banking and financial services in Angola operate differently than most countries, with implications for budget management. International money transfers face restrictions and fees that can consume significant portions of monthly budgets. Local banking services exist but often require minimum balances and charge fees that affect low-budget living strategies. The informal economy provides income and expense opportunities that don't appear in official statistics but significantly impact daily life. Small-scale trading, service provision, and skill sharing create economic networks that help people stretch limited budgets while building social connections and cultural understanding. Emergency fund planning becomes crucial in Angola due to economic volatility and limited safety nets. Currency fluctuations, supply shortages, and political changes can affect living costs rapidly and dramatically. Successful budget management requires maintaining flexibility and backup plans that account for Angola's unique economic characteristics. Transportation in Angola tells the story of a country caught between African reality and oil wealth aspiration. Luanda's traffic jams rank among the world's worst, not because of poor planning, but because rapid economic growth outpaced infrastructure development by decades. The result is a transportation system that's simultaneously chaotic and functional, expensive and affordable, modern and traditional. Kindungweros represent Angola's informal transportation backbone, providing cheap, frequent service to areas that formal transportation ignores. These shared taxis operate on routes, schedules, and pricing systems that exist entirely outside government regulation. Learning to use Kindungweros effectively requires understanding neighborhood networks, driver relationships, and passenger etiquette that foreigners rarely grasp quickly. The social dynamics inside Kindungweros reflect broader Angolan cultural patterns. Passengers help each other with bags, children, and directions while maintaining respectful distance and appropriate conversation. Regular riders develop relationships with drivers and fellow passengers that extend beyond transportation into community networks and mutual support systems. Private car ownership in Angola involves costs and challenges that make it impractical for most residents despite the status it represents. Fuel prices remain relatively low due to domestic oil production, but vehicle purchase prices, import taxes, and maintenance costs create barriers that keep car ownership limited to upper-income brackets. The roads themselves tell Angola's development story through their condition and connectivity. Luanda's main arteries feature modern construction and lighting that could compete with any international city, but travel beyond the capital reveals infrastructure that reflects decades of war, limited maintenance, and challenging geography that makes road building expensive and difficult. Long-distance travel between cities requires planning, patience, and flexibility that test even experienced travelers. Bus services exist, but operate on schedules that depend more on passenger loads than departure times. Road conditions change with weather, seasons, and maintenance priorities that can turn routine trips into multi-day adventures. Work culture in Angola blends African flexibility with Portuguese formality in ways that create unique professional environments. Business hours officially run from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., but actual productivity often happens during different times due to traffic, power outages, and social obligations that take precedence over rigid scheduling. The informal economy employs more Angolans than formal businesses, creating work opportunities that don't appear in official statistics, but provide essential income for millions of families. Street vendors, small-scale farmers, service providers, and traders operate businesses that require entrepreneurial skills, social networks, and market knowledge that rival any formal business education. Oil industry employment provides the highest-paying jobs in Angola, but requires specific skills, connections, and often international experience. These positions offer salaries that can support comfortable lifestyles but come with social expectations and lifestyle pressures that affect personal relationships and community integration. Government employment offers job security and social status that many Angolans value more than private sector income potential. However, government salaries often require supplemental income sources, creating dual employment situations where people maintain official jobs while pursuing private business interests. The challenges of daily work life in Angola include infrastructure limitations that affect productivity and planning. Power outages interrupt computer work. Internet connectivity issues affect communication, and transportation delays impact meeting schedules. Successful work strategies require backup plans, flexibility, and patience that go beyond job-specific skills. Angola's natural beauty remains one of Africa's best-kept secrets, partly because tourism infrastructure hasn't developed to showcase the country's incredible diversity of landscapes and experiences. From the Calendula Falls, which rank among Africa's largest waterfalls, to the pristine beaches of the Atlantic coast, Angola offers natural wonders that rival any African destination. The coastline stretches for over 1,600 kilometers, featuring everything from dramatic cliffs near Namibe to gentle beach resorts around Benguela. These beaches see almost no international tourism, creating opportunities for authentic experiences without crowds, vendors, or commercialization that characterize popular African beach destinations. Inland, Angola's geography transitions from coastal plains to highland plateaus that support different ecosystems and climates. The central highlands around Huambo offer cool temperatures, rolling hills, and agricultural landscapes that feel more like European countryside than tropical. Africa. These areas provide relief from coastal humidity while showcasing Angola's agricultural potential. Desert landscapes in the south near Namibia create otherworldly scenery, where sand dunes meet rocky outcrops and formations that photographers dream about. The Namib Desert extends into Angola, creating landscapes that feel like alien planets while supporting unique plant and animal life, adapted to extreme conditions. Wildlife viewing in Angola requires more effort than established safari destinations, but offers rewards that include exclusive experiences and species diversity that surprises even experienced African travelers. Kasama National Park, just south of Luanda, provides wildlife viewing opportunities within driving distance of the capital, while remote parks offer wilderness experiences that few outsiders ever encounter. Adventure tourism potential in Angola remains largely untapped due to infrastructure limitations and limited marketing, but opportunities exist for travelers willing to invest time and effort in planning, river rafting, mountain hiking, desert exploration, and cultural tourism all offer unique experiences that can't be replicated elsewhere in Africa. The lack of tourism development creates advantages and disadvantages for visitors. Costs remain lower than established destinations, crowds don't exist, and authentic cultural interactions happen naturally. However, accommodation options are limited. Transportation is challenging, and language barriers affect communication with guides and service providers. Conservation efforts in Angola face challenges related to funding, infrastructure, and competing development priorities. But progress is happening through international partnerships and growing environmental awareness. Protected areas exist on paper, but require development and management that will determine their long-term success. Seasonal variations affect travel planning in Angola due to climate patterns that create distinct wet and dry seasons. The dry season from May to October offers better road conditions and wildlife viewing, while the wet season brings lush landscapes and challenging transportation that limit access to remote areas. Cultural tourism opportunities in Angola include traditional festivals, craft markets, historical sites, and community visits that provide insights into authentic Angolan life. However, these experiences require cultural sensitivity, language skills, and local connections that independent travelers struggle to develop quickly. Safety in Angola has improved dramatically since the civil war ended in 2002, but perceptions and realities don't always align, creating confusion for potential visitors and residents. The international media focus on conflict and poverty creates impressions that don't match current conditions in most of the country most of the time. Crime in Luanda resembles urban crime patterns in other African capitals, with property crime, petty theft, and opportunistic scams affecting residents and visitors who don't take appropriate precautions. However, violent crime rates are lower than many international cities, and tourists who use common sense avoid most problems. Political stability in Angola has strengthened significantly over the past decade, with peaceful elections and economic diversification efforts that reduce dependence on oil revenues. However, political discussions remain sensitive topics that foreigners should approach carefully, if at all. Healthcare quality varies dramatically between urban and rural areas, with Luanda offering private medical facilities that meet international standards, while rural areas struggle with limited resources and infrastructure. Medical emergencies require evacuation to urban centers or international facilities depending on severity and location. The forbidden rules that govern safety in Angola aren't written anywhere, but violating them can create serious problems. Taking photos of government buildings, military installations, or police operations can lead to detention and legal complications. Discussing politics critically, especially regarding current leadership, can affect employment and social relationships. Social safety requires understanding cultural boundaries that aren't obvious to outsiders. Disrespecting elders, ignoring family hierarchies, or violating gender role expectations can damage relationships and reputations in ways that affect long-term integration and acceptance. Economic safety involves understanding Angola's complex financial systems and avoiding transactions that might violate currency regulations or tax obligations. The informal economy operates according to unwritten rules that protect participants but can exclude or exploit outsiders who don't understand the systems. Legal safety requires respecting Angolan laws that might differ from home country expectations, especially regarding contracts, employment, and personal relationships. The legal system operates in Portuguese with procedures that reflect Portuguese civil law traditions rather than common law systems familiar to English-speaking foreigners. Emergency preparedness in Angola requires planning for infrastructure failures, supply shortages, and communication disruptions that can affect daily life unpredictably. Maintaining backup plans for transportation, communication, and essential supplies becomes part of responsible living rather than paranoid preparation. Education in post-war Angola reflects the country's determination to rebuild while facing challenges that will take generations to fully resolve. The war destroyed schools, displaced teachers, and interrupted education for millions of children who are now adults struggling with literacy and numeracy skills that affect their economic opportunities. Visiting Angola requires patience, planning, and persistence that test even experienced African travelers. The visa process involves multiple steps, significant fees, and documentation requirements that can take weeks or months to complete. Tourist visas cost around $100 and require invitation letters, hotel reservations, and financial guarantees that make spontaneous travel impossible. Language barriers present the biggest challenge for English-speaking visitors. Portuguese isn't just the official language, it's the language of business, government, and urban social life. Basic Portuguese skills are essential for anything beyond superficial tourist interactions, and fluency opens doors to authentic Angolan experiences that remain closed to non-speakers. Currency complications affect every financial transaction in Angola. The kwanza fluctuates significantly against international currencies. Cash remains king for most transactions, and credit card acceptance is limited to upscale establishments in Luanda. Bringing sufficient cash while managing security risks requires careful planning and local knowledge. Accommodation options in Angola range from luxury hotels that rival international chains to budget guest houses that provide basic shelter. With variable service quality, mid-range options are limited, creating a gap between expensive tourist accommodations and local housing that requires compromise on comfort or budget. Transportation planning requires understanding Angola's unique infrastructure challenges and opportunities. Domestic flights connect major cities but operate on schedules that change frequently. Road travel requires vehicle rental or private arrangements that can be expensive and complicated. For foreign visitors, cultural preparation for Angola should include learning about Portuguese colonial history, understanding the impact of the Civil War, and recognizing the role of extended family networks in daily life. These aren't academic subjects. They're practical knowledge that affects every social interaction and business relationship. Shopping and dining in Angola requires strategies that balance quality, cost, and cultural authenticity. Tourist restaurants in Luanda offer familiar food at international prices, while local establishments provide authentic experiences at reasonable costs for those willing to navigate language barriers and different service expectations. Communication with home countries from Angola involves internet connectivity that's improving, but still inconsistent, especially outside Luanda. International phone calls remain expensive, and social media access can be slow or unreliable depending on location and time of day. The rewards of visiting Angola include experiences that can't be replicated elsewhere in Africa or the world. The combination of Portuguese colonial architecture, African cultural traditions, stunning natural beauty, And genuine hospitality creates memories that justify the challenges of getting there. And surviving the experience, Angola isn't just another African country with oil resources and colonial scars. It is a nation that has rebuilt itself from complete devastation while maintaining cultural identity and social cohesion that many countries never achieve. The $700 budget challenge isn't just about money, it's about understanding how resourcefulness, community support, and cultural adaptation create opportunities in the most unlikely circumstances. The forbidden rules we've explored aren't restrictions. They're insights into a society that values respect, relationships, and resilience above individual convenience or foreign expectations. Angola teaches lessons about survival, community, and cultural pride that extend far beyond travel experiences or budget management. This country represents Africa's future as much as its past. The combination of natural resources, cultural richness, and human potential creates possibilities that haven't been fully realized yet, but they're coming. And the people who understand Angola today will be positioned to participate in whatever comes. Next, the women, the music, the food, the landscapes, and the daily challenges all combine to create an experience that changes how you think about Africa, development, and what it means to build a life in challenging circumstances. Angola isn't easy, comfortable, or predictable, but it's real in ways that many places have lost. Whether you're considering a visit, planning to move there, or just trying to understand this fascinating country better, remember that Angola rewards patience, respect, and genuine interest in learning from people who have survived and thrived despite incredible challenges. The country doesn't need saving or fixing. It needs understanding and partnership from people who recognize its potential. Comment below if you've ever considered visiting Angola, and let us know which aspect of Angolan life surprised you most in this documentary. Subscribe for more authentic African travel content that goes beyond the typical tourist destinations to explore the real stories, real challenges, and real opportunities that make this continent so compelling. Angola is waiting for those brave enough to look beyond the headlines and discover what life is really like in one of Africa's most misunderstood nations. The question isn't whether Angola is worth the effort. The question is whether you're ready for what Angola has to teach you.